The alien woman watched from the shadows as Kate Mason worked alone in the laboratory. Her violet eyes glowed softly in the darkness, tracking every movement the human made. Kate was unaware of being observed as she analyzed the strange metal fragment that had been recovered from the crash site 3 weeks ago in the pine forest north of the research facility. The alien Shayla belonged to the Sindari race beings who had evolved far beyond humans in both technology and telepathic abilities. For 3 Earth months she had been studying humans particularly. This one, her mission was simple: determine if humans were a threat to the Galactic Alliance or potential allies worth contacting. Kate yawned and stretched her arms. She had been working for 16 hours straight trying to understand the properties of the alien metal. It seemed to change molecular structure depending on the energy applied to it, something no Earth scientist had ever seen before. The government had assembled a team of researchers, but Kate was the only one who insisted on working through the night when everyone else had gone home to rest. Shayla stepped forward, revealing herself. The human gasped and jumped back, knocking over a stack of research notes. Her eyes widened with shock and confusion. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" Kate demanded, reaching for the security alarm button on the wall near her desk, her hand trembling slightly. "Please do not be afraid," Shayla said, her voice melodious and calm. "I am not here to harm you. I am here because you have something that belongs to my people." Kate stared at the alien woman. Her skin was pale blue with faint markings that seemed to shimmer when she moved. Her hair was silver and flowing as if suspended in water, though there was no breeze in the lab. Her body was slender and tall, nearly 7 feet in height, with long fingers and large eyes that seemed to see right through Kate. You're not human?" Kate whispered, her hand frozen midway to the alarm, her scientific mind racing to process what stood before her. "I am Sindari. My ship crashed 3 months ago while I was on a reconnaissance mission. The metal you are studying is part of our navigation system. It contains quantum entanglement, properties that allow us to travel vast distances." Kate slowly lowered her hand, fascination overcoming fear, her scientific curiosity pushing past her initial shock. "Why reveal yourself to me now? You could have taken it when I wasn't here," she asked, her voice steadier than she expected. Shayla moved closer, her movements fluid and graceful like water flowing across stones. "Because my mission has changed. I was sent to assess whether humans were ready to join the Galactic Alliance my people believe. Humans are too violent, too unpredictable, too emotional to be trusted with advanced knowledge." "And what do you believe?" Kate asked, taking a cautious step toward the alien woman rather than away, a move that surprised even herself. "I believe they are wrong," Shayla said. "I have watched you work tirelessly to understand something beyond your science, not to weaponize it, but out of pure curiosity and wonder. I have seen humans create art, express love, care for creatures weaker than yourselves. These are traits my people have forgotten in our evolution toward logic and efficiency." Kate stood speechless as the alien woman approached the lab table, where the metal fragment sat under specialized lighting and scanning equipment. "My leaders would have me take this and leave Earth forever, declaring your species unready for contact," Shayla continued. "But I have come to see something they cannot." "What's that?" Kate asked, her scientific mind still attempting to catalog every detail of the alien before her, while her human heart raced with the implications of first contact. "Potential humans are young compared to my race. You make mistakes. Yes, you fight and destroy, but you also learn at an astonishing rate. You feel deeply, you create beautifully, and most importantly, you hope persistently, even when logic suggests you should surrender." Shayla picked up the metal fragment. It began to glow in her hands, transforming into a small device with intricate patterns that shifted and moved across its surface. "This is a quantum communicator. With it I can contact my ship, but once I do I must report my findings. My people will either prepare for first contact with Earth or mark your world as quarantined for another century." Kate stepped forward boldly, drawn by both the technology and the moment in history she was witnessing. "And what will you tell them?" Shayla smiled, a surprisingly human expression on her alien face. "That depends on you, Kate Mason." "Why me?" Kate asked, confusion evident in her voice. "I am just one researcher. There are governments, leaders, people with actual authority, because you represent what makes humans unique among all the scientists studying this fragment. You alone considered how it might benefit all people, not just your nation or military. You questioned what kind of beings would create such technology and whether they might be peaceful. You wondered about us with hope, not fear. Kate felt her heart pounding. How do you know what I thought? My people are telepathic, but only surface thoughts, only what is freely given. I would never invade your deeper mind without permission. I have been observing you for weeks, learning your language, your habits, your dreams. Kate considered this revelation. So what happens now? She asked, her mind already racing with possibilities both wondrous and terrifying. Shayla held out the communicator. I can call my ship and recommend humanity be welcomed into the Alliance, but with conditions. We would share some technology. Help. Solve your environmental crisis, offer medical advances, but we would not give weapons or faster than light travel. Until your world unites under one government, or Kate prompted, sensing there was an alternative. Or I can leave without calling, reporting that humans need another century before contact. I would destroy all evidence of my presence, including your research and memory of our meeting. Kate felt the weight of this choice. Why trust me with this decision? I'm just one person, she asked, while inside she knew this was beyond anything she had ever imagined facing. Because in my observation of humans, I have learned that often one person is all it takes to change the course of history. One voice, one choice, one moment of courage. Shayla replied, and in all my observations, you have shown the best qualities of your species. Compassion, intelligence, and most importantly, hope for a better future. Kate looked at the alien woman. Really looked at her. She saw not a superior being looking down on humanity, but someone offering friendship across the stars despite the risks. She made her decision. Call your ship, tell them we're ready. Not perfect, not unified, but ready to try, ready to learn, ready to be better. Kate said, her voice firm with conviction. Shayla nodded and activated the communicator. It hummed with energy, pulsing with colors no human eye had seen before, speaking in a language that sounded like music and mathematics combined. She communicated with her ship for several minutes before turning back to Kate. There will be challenges, she warned. Some humans will fear us. Others will want to use our knowledge for power. Your leaders will resist sharing authority. There will be those who see us as threats or gods. Neither view is correct or helpful. Nothing worth doing is easy, Kate replied with a smile. Besides, now that I've met you, I can go back to pretending we're alone in the universe. Shayla reached out her hand in the human gesture. She had observed a handshake. Kate realized the alien had learned human customs during her time watching them. As their hands touched, a spark of energy passed between them. A connection that transcended species. Kate gasped, feeling a brief glimpse of Shayla's mind, a vast landscape of knowledge and memory so different, yet somehow familiar. My people will arrive within 1 Earth year, Shayla said. Until then, I will need a guide. Someone to help me understand your world better. Someone to help prepare your people for contact. Kate laughed. I'm a lab scientist, not a diplomat or politician who would listen to me. You are curious, compassionate, and brave. That is precisely what is needed, Shayla said. Besides, I will help you convince others. I can demonstrate technology beyond Earth's current capabilities, enough to make them listen without giving them weapons or power they are not ready to handle. Outside the laboratory window, the first light of dawn broke across the horizon. Kate thought it appropriate. The sun was rising on a new age for humanity. So what now? Kate asked, still trying to process everything that had happened in the last hour. Now, Shayla said with a hint of mischief in her alien eyes. You teach me about this human concept called breakfast. I have observed it involves something called pancakes and coffee. I am particularly curious about the ritual aspects of morning meals among your species. Kate laughed again. Tension breaking. I can definitely help with that. But first, we should probably discuss how we're going to explain your presence to my colleagues. They'll be arriving in about 2 hours. Shayla touched the small device on her wrist, and her appearance shifted, her blue skin fading to a human tone. Her height reducing, her alien features becoming more human, though still strikingly beautiful. I can appear human for short periods, she explained. This is how I have moved among you undetected. Well, that solves one problem, Kate said. But there are going to be 1,000 more before the day is over. Shayla nodded, one step at a time. Kate Mason, that is how all great journeys begin, even interstellar ones, as they left the laboratory together, human and alien. Kate realized that her life would never be the same, and perhaps the same was true for all of humanity. The alien woman had come seeking answers about the human race. Instead, she had found something unexpected hope in the form of one ordinary woman who looked to. Kate and Shayla sat in a small diner 5 miles from the research facility. The early morning crowd consisted mostly of truckers and factory workers starting their day. None paid much attention to the 2 women in the corner booth. Kate watched in amusement as Shayla experienced her first taste of maple syrup drizzled over a stack of pancakes. Is this substance common on your planet? Shayla asked, her eyes wide with surprise as she took another bite, her human disguise perfect down to the last detail, though. Kate noticed she still moved with that strange fluid grace that seemed slightly off. It's pretty common, Kate said, sipping her coffee, still trying to wrap her mind around the fact she was having breakfast with an alien being. You don't have sweet foods, we have nutrition, not food. Shayla explained, efficient compounds that provide necessary elements. Nothing like this, she said, gesturing to her plate. Our bodies evolved past the need for taste pleasure. Centuries ago, though, I can see now what we've lost. Kate smiled, watching the alien woman savor each bite with childlike wonder. So tell me about your world, she asked, keeping her voice low. How many species are in this galactic alliance? The alliance includes 27 spacefaring civilizations from 18 different star systems, Shayla said, each with their own evolutionary path. Some are like us, humanoid in basic structure. Others would seem very strange to you. Beings of pure energy, crystalline entities even, a race of collective consciousness that exists as a neural network spanning their entire planet. And humans would be welcomed, Kate asked, still finding it hard to believe, conditionally. Shayla replied, your species has potential, but also risks. The Council sees both your capacity for violence concerns them, but your creativity, your adaptability. These are rare and valuable traits. Kate nodded. Considering this, what happens next? First, I must prepare you, Shayla said, her voice growing serious. The initial contact team will arrive in 1 Earth year. They will expect to meet with world leaders, not just American ones. This must be a global decision. Humans must present a unified response. Kate nearly choked on her coffee. World leaders, she exclaimed. How am I supposed to arrange that? I'm a research scientist. I don't even know any politicians. Shayla smiled, that mysterious smile again. I will help you, she said. First, we must secure the fragment, keep it from those who would weaponize it. Then we must find others like you, open-minded, influential humans in positions to help prepare your world. Kate considered the enormity of the task ahead. How can we possibly convince people you're real without causing panics? Shayla reached across the table and touched Kate's hand. I can demonstrate certain abilities, small proofs for the right people, and I have the communication device. It contains data that will convince even the most skeptical scientists. 2 men in dark suits entered the diner, scanning the room with practiced efficiency. Kate noticed them immediately and tensed up. Those are government agents, she whispered. They must be looking for me. I didn't check in this morning. Shayla remained calm. They cannot recognize me in this form, she said, but we should leave. I can sense their intentions. They know something is missing from the lab. Kate left money on the table, and they slipped out the back door just as the agents approached the counter to show Kate's photo to the waitress once outside. Shayla led them to a wooded area behind the deanery. Can't go back to my apartment. Kate realized they'll be watching it. No, you cannot, Shayla agreed. You have made your choice, Kate. Mason, the moment you decided to help me, you crossed a threshold. There is no going back to your old life. Kate's mind raced with implications. Her career, her family, her friends, all would be affected by what she'd done. But when she looked at Shayla and thought about what she represented, first contact with an intelligent, alien species, the beginning of Earth's inclusion in a galactic community, she knew she could not have chosen differently. Where can we go? Kate asked. I have established a safe location, Shayla said, touching the small device on her wrist again. A map appeared hovering in the air between them, showing a route into the mountains outside the city. I have been preparing for various outcomes since my arrival. They traveled for hours, first in a taxi, then on a rural bus, finally hiking up a remote trail into the mountains. Kate was exhausted by the time they reached a small cabin nestled among pine trees. "Whose place is this?" she asked as Shayla opened the door, without a key. "I acquired it 3 Earth weeks ago." Shayla explained it was abandoned. "I repaired it using materials from my ship. It is unregistered in your property systems and shielded from thermal and electronic detection." The inside was sparse but comfortable with basic furniture, a wood stove and surprisingly modern kitchen appliances. And bathroom fixtures. Kate collapsed into a chair while Shayla secured the perimeter. "Activating invisible defensive measures. We should be safe here," Shayla said, returning to find Kate staring out the window at the forest surrounding them, safe until, when Kate asked the reality of her situation sinking in. "Until we gather the right allies, until we can approach your government from a position of strength." Shayla explained, not as fugitives but as ambassadors. "I have identified several humans who might be receptive to the truth." "Like who?" Kate asked. "There is a physicist named Lily Ortiz at MIT working on quantum entanglement theories. Her work approaches some of our basic principles." Shayla said a diplomat at the United Nations, Maria Mendez, who has written extensively about protocols for potential extraterrestrial contact. A billionaire tech entrepreneur, Amber Clark, who has privately funded searches for extraterrestrial intelligence against ridicule from her peers. "You have been busy," Kate observed, "and all women." Shayla tilted her head. "My observations suggest female humans are statistically more likely to consider peaceful contact scenarios rather than immediately viewing aliens as threats. Though there are exceptions and many male humans who would also be receptive." Kate smiled despite herself. "So what's our first move?" "Contact Lily Ortiz," Shayla said, removing the quantum communicator from her pocket. "I can use this to demonstrate principles. Her theories only suggest she will believe the evidence of her own experiments." "How do we reach her?" Kate asked. "I'm guessing you don't want to just call her office." "I have studied human communication networks," Shayla said with something like pride. "I can send a message she will find compelling enough to investigate a scientific puzzle she cannot resist over." The next 3 days, Kate watched in amazement as Shayla used the communicator's advanced technology to hack into secure academic networks, leaving Lily Ortiz a trail of breadcrumbs, mathematical puzzles, and quantum phenomena that could not be explained by current Earth science. "I don't understand how you're doing this," Kate admitted, watching Shayla work with the alien device. "Your internet is primitive by Sundari standards," Shayla explained. "Quantum computing makes your most advanced systems seem like child toys. The challenge is limiting my actions to avoid detection, not accomplishing them." On the 4th day, they received a response. Lily Ortiz had followed the trail and indicated willingness to meet at a neutral location, a small observatory outside Boston where she sometimes worked on weekends. "Now we need to reach her without being detected." Kate said, "The government is certainly looking for me by now." Shayla nodded. They had expanded the search parameters, she agreed. "I have monitored their communications. They have classified you as a person of interest in the theft of classified materials. They believe you may have been recruited by foreign agents." "Foreign agents?" Kate laughed. "If they only knew how foreign we will travel by unusual means," Shayla said with that hint of mischief that Kate was coming to recognize. The alien enjoyed surprising her. That evening, Shayla revealed a small disk about the size of a dinner plate hidden beneath the cabin. It hummed to life at her touch, rising to hover 3 feet off the ground. "A personal transport device," Shayla explained. "It can carry 2. If we remain still, it generates its own gravitational field and can travel up to what you would call 300 miles per hour. It is also undetectable by your radar system." Kate stared in disbelief. "You want us to fly on that?" "It is perfectly safe," Shayla assured her, "and the fastest way to reach Boston without using trackable transportation." They left under cover of darkness, Kate clinging tightly to Shayla as the disk rose silently above the trees and accelerated eastward. The wind would have been unbearable except for the invisible field surrounding them that kept the air calm and warm despite their speed. Kate found herself alternating between terror and exhilaration as they soared over darkened landscapes, cities glowing like islands of light in the distance, mountains and forests passing below them. "This is incredible," Kate shouted over the rush of air. "Why don't your people share this technology with humans?" "This is simple technology by our standards," Shayla replied. But in human hands, what would it become first? Probably a weapon or military transport, then a luxury for the wealthy. Finally, perhaps something beneficial for all humans, but how many would suffer in the transition? This is why the Alliance is cautious. Kate couldn't argue with that assessment, knowing how human history had played out with new technologies. They almost always became weapons before becoming tools. They arrived at the observatory before dawn, setting down in a wooded area nearby and approaching on foot, Shayla once again disguised as human, though she had modified her appearance slightly to avoid any connection to the woman seen with Kate at the diner. 3 months had passed since Kate Mason disappeared from the research facility, along with the alien artifact. The network she, Lily, and Shayla had built now included 12 influential humans from 9 countries, each carefully selected and approached, with increasingly convincing demonstrations of Shayla's origins and abilities. They met in a remote villa on the coast of Portugal, owned by Amber Clark, the tech billionaire who had immediately grasped the historical significance of what was happening. "We need to take this public," Amber argued during their strategy meeting, her confident voice filling the sunlit conference room she had converted from the villa's dining area. "We control enough media outlets among us to ensure the story is presented properly. It is too soon." Shayla countered, her true cindery form now comfortable among this select group of humans. "The general population is not prepared for the knowledge of other intelligent species. Fear will overwhelm reason." Kate watched the debate. With interest over the months, she had come to understand both perspectives. Humans deserved to know what was coming. But Shayla's concerns about panic or military intervention were legitimate. "Middle East tensions are escalating," said Ahmed Hassan, the Egyptian diplomat who had joined their group 2 weeks earlier. "If governments discover alien technology exists, they will race to control it, making the current situation even more volatile." Ortiz nodded her agreement. "The science alone would destabilize multiple industries overnight: energy, transportation, medicine. The economic impact would be chaotic without careful preparation." Amber wasn't convinced. "Keeping secrets makes us no better than the governments we'd be bypassing," she insisted. "People have a right to know something this important, perhaps a demonstration of goodwill." Maria Mendez suggested the UN representative had the most experience with delicate international negotiations. Shayla could help solve a global problem, something visible but not overtly technological. A gesture to build trust. All eyes turned to Shayla, who had been quietly listening. The Zindari woman considered the suggestion. "There are possibilities," she acknowledged. "The drought in Eastern Africa has reached crisis levels. We could trigger rainfall patterns without revealing advanced technology. It would appear natural but provide relief." This led to vigorous debate about which crisis to address and how visible the intervention should be. Kate found herself mediating between the more cautious scientists and the activists eager for immediate action. She had grown into her role as bridge between human and Zindari perspectives, while the group strategized in Portugal, halfway across the world in a secured, underground facility. Colonel Laura Harris studied the second fragment recovered from the crash site. Unlike the piece Kate had examined, this one contained biological components that had remained dormant until recently. "It's responding to something," Dr. Susan Ward said, watching the organic crystalline structure pulse with faint blue light. The military scientist had been working with the fragment since its recovery. Or someone, Laura corrected her. "Something activated it 3 days ago, and the energy signature is getting stronger." Her instincts told her this was connected to the missing researcher and the stolen artifact she had been tracking. Kate Mason's movements for months convinced the scientist had made contact with whoever or whatever had crashed in those woods. They were interrupted by a junior officer. "Mom, we've detected an unusual energy reading near Lisbon, Portugal matches the signature we're monitoring from the artifact." Laura smiled grimly. "We have them," she said. "Prepare the tactical team for immediate deployment. Authorization Omega level. Minimal personnel, maximum deniability." Back in Portugal, as evening fell, the group moved their discussion to the villa's terrace overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, the sunset painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. Shayla stood at the railing looking up at the emerging stars. "You can see my homeworld from here," she told Kate, who had joined her, "though not with your naked eyes." It orbits what you call Barnard's star. Do you miss it? Kate asked, having grown close to the alien woman during their months together. Parts of it, Shayla admitted, the crystal forests, the floating cities. But my people have lost something in our evolution toward pure intellect. Watching you humans debate with such passion, such conviction. It reminds me of our ancient days before we engineered emotion away in favor of logic. Kate was surprised. I thought you were just different. Not that you'd removed emotion, it was gradual. Shayla explained. Over many generations we valued efficiency over sentiment, reason over feeling, until the capacity for deep emotion was bred out of us. We considered it progress. And now, Kate prompted, sensing there was more. Now some of us question that choice, Shayla said. Turning to face her, there is a movement among younger Zindari to restore what was lost, to learn from species like yours. How to balance intellect and emotion, that is part of why the Alliance is interested in humans. You have something we once discarded. Their conversation was interrupted by Amber, who rushed onto the terrace. Her face tense. We've got a security alert. She said someone is approaching the property. A helicopter just landed at a private airstrip 5 miles from here, with what looks like a tactical team. How did they find us? Lily asked, joining them, her face pale with worry. Shayla touched the communication device at her wrist, scanning quickly. The second fragment, she said sharply. It has activated. It would be drawn to this one. They are connected. They used it to track us. We need to leave now, Kate said, alarm racing through her. Too late, Ahmed said from the doorway. Security cameras show vehicles approaching on the access road. Shayla made a quick decision. Give me the communicator, Kate. She requested. Kate handed over the device that had remained in her possession since that first night in the lab. You must all leave. Go out the back through the olive groves. Amber has a secondary property nearby. I will delay them. Kate shook her head. No, I'm staying with you. Shayla placed her hands on Kate's shoulders. You cannot. The humans pursuing us will have weapons. They seek the technology. Not understanding it could destroy them if misused. You must lead the others, ensure the network survives to prepare for what is coming. Before Kate could protest further, the villa security system chimed, indicating perimeter breach. Amber hurried the group toward the back exit while Kate hesitated, torn between staying with Shayla and protecting what they had built. Go, Shayla said softly. I will find you. Reluctantly, Kate joined the others, slipping into the darkness of the olive grove as they heard vehicles approaching the main entrance to the villa. They moved silently through the trees, guided by Amber's knowledge of the terrain. The sound of helicopter rotors grew louder above them. Shayla stood alone in the villa's main room. The two communication devices now merged into one larger artifact, glowing with pulsing blue energy. She had not told the humans everything about Zindari technology or her true capabilities. This would be the first time she revealed them. Colonel Laura Harris led the tactical team into the villa, weapons ready. What they found stopped them in their tracks, a single figure standing calmly in the center of the room. Not human, but clearly intelligent. Her blue skin and silver hair unmistakably alien. Secure the area, Laura ordered, her voice steady, despite her shock at finally confirming what she'd suspected. The team spread out weapons, trained on Shayla, who made no move to resist or escape. You are the one who took our researcher, Laura said, approaching cautiously. Where is Kate? Mason. Kate Mason made her own choice. Shayla replied, her voice melodious and calm as always. I did not take her. She joined me willingly after understanding what I represent. And what is that exactly? Laura asked. Studying the alien carefully, a future where your world joins a community of intelligent species, Shayla explained. One where humanity evolves beyond its current limitations and conflicts. Laura gestured to the glowing device in Shayla's hands. That technology belongs to the United States government. It belongs to the Zindari, Shayla corrected. And it is dangerous. In unprepared hand, Laura moved closer. You will come with us both. You and that device, you will explain exactly what it does and how it works. I cannot do that, Shayla said. The risk is too great. Laura signaled her team. They raised their weapons. I wasn't asking. Shayla looked at them with something like sadness. Violence is not necessary, she said softly. The colonel laughed softly. What are you going to do? There's one of you and 12 of us all armed. Shayla's only response was to activate the merged communication devices. They flared with brilliant blue light, expanding to surround her in a pulsing energy field. The tactical team fired their weapons, but the bullets slowed and stopped mid-air, dropping harmlessly to the floor. "What the hell?" Laura gasped as the light intensified. "I did not wish to reveal this capability." Shayla said, her voice echoing strangely as if coming from multiple directions at once. "But you leave me no choice. The device is not just for communication. It can manipulate space-time." The air in the room seemed to ripple and distort. Soldiers, finding themselves unable to move, caught in what felt like thick, invisible liquid. Laura alone seemed partially resistant, struggling toward Shayla with determined steps. "Stop this now," she commanded. "I cannot," Shayla replied. "You seek power. You do not understand weapons. You cannot control. The Alliance would never permit this technology to fall into military hands before humanity is ready." 2 months passed since Shayla's dramatic disappearance. The network had grown cautiously, adding key individuals who could help prepare humanity for the coming contact. Kate found herself at the center of this expanding web, coordinating between scientists, diplomats, and influential figures across the globe. They gathered in the basement of Lily Ortiz's Cambridge home, converted into a secure meeting space shielded from electronic surveillance. Kate stood before a whiteboard covered in equations and star charts. "These are the coordinates Shayla provided," she explained, pointing to a specific section where she believed the Zindari ship would emerge into our solar system. 9 Earth months from now, somewhere beyond the orbit of Mars. They have the technology to remain undetected by our current systems, Lily added. "But we need to establish a communication protocol before they arrive." Amber Clark had devoted a significant portion of her fortune to the cause, discreetly funding research and preparation without revealing its true purpose. "We have 3 deep space listening stations now," she reported, all independently operated outside government oversight. "We should be able to detect the approach even if traditional observatories miss." The group had divided responsibilities according to their strengths. Lily led the scientific preparations, developing theories and technologies based on the principles Shayla had shared. Ahmed and Maria worked through diplomatic channels, establishing protocols for first contact. Amber provided resources while others managed security, media preparation, and more specialized areas. Kate coordinated it all, having absorbed more of Shayla's knowledge than anyone else during their time together. Her role as translator between Zindari concepts and human understanding became increasingly crucial as they progressed. "What troubles me," said Ahmed, "is the military response we witnessed in Portugal. If Colonel Harris found Shayla, one, she can track our activities. 2, we need better security." Maria nodded. "The UN Security Council has been briefed on an unspecified potential threat," she reported officially. "It's classified as an unknown technological development, but the subtext is clear. They're preparing for hostile contact, not peaceful exchange." Kate frowned. "This is exactly what Shayla warned about, fear driving the response. How do we counter it?" "We need a demonstration." Lily suggested something public, undeniable, but non-threatening proof that advanced technology exists and can benefit humanity. Like what Amber asked. Lily hesitated to share her idea. It seemed too ambitious, but Kate encouraged her to continue. "We've been working on applying quantum principles from Shayla's teachings." She explained carefully. "My team has developed a prototype energy generator. It produces clean energy from what appears to be nothing but is actually tapping into quantum fluctuations." "Zero-point energy," Kate whispered. Recognizing the concept Shayla had described, exactly, Lily confirmed its small scale, but if we demonstrated it publicly, it would transform the energy sector overnight. Amber said, understanding the implications, and trigger exactly the kind of chaos Shayla warned about. Ahmed countered. Fossil fuel economies would collapse. Financial markets would panic. Governments would scramble to control the technology. Kate considered all perspectives. "We need something more subtle." She decided a demonstration that helps humanity without disrupting current systems. Too quickly, the debate continued late into the night, a pattern that had become familiar to the group. Passionate discussion, careful consideration, and eventually consensus on next steps. When they finally adjourned, Kate remained behind, staring at the star charts. "You miss her," Lily observed, returning to find Kate alone in the room. Every day, Kate admitted, Shayla understood both worlds. She could navigate between Zindari and human perspectives without getting lost. I feel like I'm stumbling in. The dark, sometimes you're doing better than you think, Lily said kindly. Everyone looks to you now. You became what she saw in you that first night. Abridged Kate smiled sadly at the comparison. I just hope I'm strong enough to hold the weight. The next morning, Kate was awakened by urgent knocking on her hotel room door. She opened it to find Amber looking unusually concerned. We have a problem, she said without preamble. Colonel Harris has been promoted to head a new government task force officially. It's called the Extraterrestrial Intelligence Assessment Group. But really it's a hunt for us and any evidence of alien contact. How do you know this? Kate asked, pulling Amber into the room and closing the door. I have sources in intelligence communities. Amber explained, people who owe me favors. People who believe in our cause. They warn that Harris has been given unprecedented authority across agencies and borders. Kate processed this news silently before asking, has she identified any of us beyond? Amber nodded, just connecting dots. Lily Ortiz was flagged when she withdrew from several high-profile research projects. Ahmed is under surveillance after diplomatic trips that didn't match his official schedule. I'm protected by layers of corporate structure, but they're investigating unusual funding patterns. We need to go dark. Kate decided immediately. No electronic communication, secure locations, only change our patterns separate for a while. Amber agreed. They've found the farmhouse in Portugal, she added. They're analyzing everything, testing for residual energy signatures, the kind Shayla left behind. Kate felt a chill. Harris was clearly more capable than they'd anticipated. How soon until they track us here? We have maybe 24 hours, Amber estimated. That's why I came in person rather than calling. They alerted the others, implementing emergency protocols they'd established for exactly this scenario. Within hours, the group had scattered, using pre-arranged transportation and safe houses across 3 continents. Kate found herself on a fishing boat heading up the coast of Maine toward a remote island, where one of Amber's many properties waited. Alone on the deck, watching the coastline recede, she wondered if Shayla was watching, somehow monitoring their progress from orbit. Shayla had mentioned observation capabilities beyond human technology. Perhaps she knew exactly what was happening on Earth. The island proved to be perfect isolation. An old lighthouse converted to a modern but discreet home with solar power, satellite communications, and enough supplies to last months. The caretaker, a weathered woman named Grace, showed Kate around before departing on the boat, leaving her truly alone for the first time since meeting Shayla. Kate had time to think without immediate crises demanding attention. She spent hours walking the rocky shores, considering their progress and the challenges ahead. The more she reflected, the more she realized they had been approaching the problem from a limited human perspective. What would Shayla do, she asked herself one evening watching the sunset over the Atlantic. How would the Zindari prepare for such a monumental shift in species awareness? The answer came to her gradually, over days of solitude. They had been too focused on convincing authority figures, governments, leaders, people already entrenched in existing power structures. Shayla had chosen Kate. Not because she had authority, but because she had vision. Kate began writing, outlining a new approach. Instead of working from the top down, they would build from the bottom up, using social networks, digital platforms, academic channels to introduce concepts, gradually preparing the collective human consciousness rather than just its leadership. After 2 weeks on the island, Amber arrived unexpectedly, bringing news from the scattered network. Harris is expanding the search, she reported, but she's hitting bureaucratic resistance. Not everyone believes her theories about alien contact. There are budget constraints, jurisdictional fights, the usual human obstacles. That's actually good news, Kate said, showing Amber her new strategy. This gives us time to implement this. Amber read through Kate's notes, her expression changing from skepticism to interest and finally enthusiasm. This could work, she admitted, instead of fighting the system. We changed the conversation. Exactly, Kate said. Governments respond to public opinion. If we can shift perception, create openness to the possibility of peaceful contact. They spent days refining the approach before contacting the others. Each member of the network would activate their own spheres of influence. Lily would publish theoretical papers, just speculative enough to avoid security classification. Ahmed would propose diplomatic protocols for hypothetical first contact scenarios. Amber would fund documentaries and educational programs about the possibilities of advanced civilizations. A slow, careful injection of ideas into the global consciousness. No dramatic reveals, no destabilizing technology, just the gradual normalization of concepts that would prepare humanity for what was coming. As Kate explained during their secure video conference, it's like vaccination. She said we introduce small, controlled doses of the idea so that when full contact occurs, the shock won't overwhelm the system. The plan was approved and implemented over the following months. Kate coordinated from the island, occasionally relocating to different secure locations. As security required, she watched with satisfaction as their efforts began bearing fruit. Subtle shifts in media coverage, scientific discourse. Public interest in extraterrestrial life became more nuanced, less focused on threats, more on possibilities. Months after Shayla's disappearance, Kate stood on a university stage guest lecturing about theoretical xenobiology. To graduate students, the course, officially about hypothetical alien life structures, had become unexpectedly popular part of the new wave of academic interest in serious study of extraterrestrial possibilities. 1 month remained before the projected arrival of the Zindari ship. What had begun as a small network of 12 influential humans had grown into a global movement. The Dreamers, as they came to call themselves now, numbered in the thousands, all sharing visions from Shayla. Each receiving pieces of a larger message. Kate had established a secure database, compiling these fragments, gradually forming a complete picture of the Zindari planscape, stood before the gathered representatives of their core network in a converted warehouse outside Vancouver. The space chosen for its remoteness and the natural electromagnetic interference from nearby mountains that helped shield their activities. "This is where they will arrive," Kate announced, pointing to a holographic display showing a remote area of the Mojave Desert. Detailed maps and satellite imagery revealed an uninhabited valley surrounded by mountains on 3 sides. "We have confirmation from 17 different Dreamers, all shown the same coordinates. The timing is consistent too," Lily added, comparing data on her tablet. "Midnight local time, exactly 30 days from now during a new moon. Minimal visibility to outside observers. Do we secure the area?" Amber asked, the practical concerns of managing a first contact scenario becoming increasingly real. "We don't secure it in the traditional sense," Kate explained. According to the Dreamers, the Zindari ship will create a temporal isolation field, a bubble of altered space-time that will effectively remove the landing site from normal observation for approximately 6 hours. Maria looked skeptical. "That's convenient," she noted. "But how do we get representatives there without alerting authorities? Colonel Harris has surveillance on all of us." Kate smiled. "For the first time in months, we don't need to avoid her. We need to include her." The statement shocked the room. "Include Harris?" Ahmed repeated incredulously. "The woman hunting us as criminals." Kate nodded. "She has the authority we need, the resources, the security clearance. Even if we disagree with her approach, she represents an important perspective in the human response." Debate erupted, some arguing passionately against involving military forces, others recognizing the practical necessity. Kate allowed the discussion to continue, knowing consensus would be stronger than imposed decision. Finally, Lily spoke. "I trust Kate's judgment," she said simply. "If she believes Colonel Harris should be there, I support that decision." Amber nodded, reluctantly agreed. "But how do we approach her after months of hiding?" Kate had considered this carefully. "We don't approach her. I do alone with evidence. She can't ignore the risk is mine since I'm already the primary target." Despite objections, Kate remained firm in her decision. 3 days later, she walked into the headquarters of the Extraterrestrial Intelligence Assessment Group in Virginia, without disguise or subterfuge, simply presenting herself at the front desk. "I'm Kate Mason," she told the stunned security officer. "I believe Colonel Harris would like to speak with me." Within minutes, she was escorted to a secure interview room where Laura Harris herself entered, looking triumphant but cautious. "Bold move," Dr. Mason, Harris said, taking a seat across from Kate. "You've led us on quite a chase." Kate met her gaze steadily. "We both want the same thing, Colonel. The safety and advancement of humanity. We just disagree on methods." Harris laughed shortly. "You harbored an alien entity, stole government property, disappeared with classified technology, and you're lecturing me about methods." "I did what was necessary," Kate replied calmly. "And now? I'm here because circumstances have changed. The Zindari are returning, not just Shayla, but diplomatic Representatives, they will arrive in 29 days. Harris studied her with narrowed eyes, skepticism. Evident you expect me to believe this. Kate placed a small device on the table between them. It was not Sindari technology, but human-built based. On principles Shayla had shared it, projected a holographic display showing the complete record of dreams, communications, and preparations. You can verify these independently. Kate said thousands of people worldwide are having the same dreams, receiving the same message. We have corroborated details across continents, languages, cultures, people who could not possibly have communicated. Harris watched the display, her expression unreadable as Kate continued. The Zindari are coming. Whether we are ready or not, Colonel, they have chosen their landing site, their representatives, their time. What remains undetermined is who will meet them on behalf of humanity. Kate leaned forward. This is why I'm here, not to surrender but to propose cooperation. We need what you represent, the authority of established human governance, but you need what we have understanding of Zindari intentions, culture and technology. For long minutes, Harris said nothing, examining the data with methodical precision. Finally, she asked, why should I trust you? Why not simply arrest you? Now use what you've brought me. Because the dreamers know to release everything publicly if I disappear. Kate said simply, we have fail-safes, but more importantly, because deep down you're a scientist. Before you're a soldier, you want to understand, not just control something. Shifted in Harris' expression. Recognition, perhaps, of a shared fundamental curiosity that transcended their differences. Who would attend this meeting? She asked hypothetically. Representatives. From our network, Kate explained, scientists, diplomats, cultural experts, people who have studied Sindari communication for nearly a year now, and representatives from established authority, including yourself and whoever you deem appropriate within. Security constraints. What do they want? Harris asked the question, revealing her acceptance of the premise that the Zindari were real. Kate smiled, to offer humanity membership in something greater than ourselves. Conditional membership based on our demonstrated capacity for peaceful cooperation. Over the next week, a remarkable collaboration formed between Kate's network and Colonel Harris, team barriers of suspicion gradually lowering as they worked toward a common goal. Harris provided security, resources, transportation, and most importantly, legitimacy. While Kate's group offered knowledge, understanding, and preparation, the Dreamers continued receiving increasingly detailed instructions, technical specifications for human-built equipment that would be needed, landing protocols, communication guidelines, cultural norms 20 days before arrival. They received the most significant message yet. The Zindaris would send 3 representatives, including Shayla, who would serve as primary translator. Kate felt a surge of emotion at this news. She had not allowed herself to hope for Shayla's return, focusing instead on the larger mission. But the thought of seeing the alien woman again filled her with unexpected joy. As the date approached, final preparations accelerated. A temporary base established near the landing coordinates, equipment assembled, teams briefed, and protocols established. Kate and Harris found themselves working side by side. More often than not, their initial antagonism gradually replaced by grudging respect. The evening before contact, Kate stood alone on a ridge overlooking the landing site desert, stretching in all directions under a star-filled sky, the new moon leaving the landscape in shadow. Lily joined her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Nervous, she asked, handing Kate a steaming mug. Terrified, Kate admitted, but not of the Zindari of us, of what happens if we get this wrong. Lily nodded, understanding. I keep thinking about what Shayla told you that first night about human potential, about how we make mistakes but learn quickly, how we hope when logic says we shouldn't. Kate smiled at the memory. Shayla saw something in us worth believing in, worth fighting for, even against her own people's caution. Do you think they'll accept us? Lily asked the question that had dominated their thoughts for months. I think, Kate said, watching a shooting star trace across the night sky. They already have, or they wouldn't be coming. The question is what we do with the opportunity. At precisely midnight, the following night, a select group gathered at the designated coordinates. Kate and Lily stood with Colonel Harris, Ahmed, Maria, Amber, and representatives from 7 world governments, all carefully vetted and prepared, 30 people in total, forming a semicircle in the desert darkness, the only illumination coming from portable lights casting long shadows across the Sandare. We sure this is the right place? One of the government officials asked. Checking his watch, Kate nodded. The dreamers were specific about both time and place, though. The Zindari concept of time differs slightly from ours. They might be her words cut off as the air before them seemed to ripple and distort. A soft humming filled the air, vibrating through the ground beneath. Their feet, the sky directly above them, appeared to fold inward, stars shifting position, as space-time curved around something massive yet invisible. Colonel Harris tensed her hand, moving instinctively toward her sidearm before she caught herself, and deliberately relaxed her posture. The other military personnel following her example. A circle of blue light appeared on the desert floor, expanding outward until it formed a perimeter 30 feet in diameter. Within this circle, the air shimmered, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. Though the night was cool, suddenly 3 figures stood where moments before there had been nothing. Kate immediately recognized Shayla, her silver hair and blue skin unmistakable even at a distance flanking. Her were 2 others in Dari, one clearly older with deeper blue skin covered in intricate markings, the other younger with a more greenish tint to their complexion. All 3 wore simple, flowing garments that seemed to shift color with their movements.